just curious that sometimes, as Nigerians say, trouble they sleep and go and wake trouble up. Or what ought to have been left quiet, people bring them up. In this case, the announcement by the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to give pardon to some people, including Chief Herbert, is very worrying because it has now brought to the fore what ought not to be remembered. The actions of the government, no matter their intentions, have diminished the stature of Chief Herbert Macaulay, and man that many people, including people of my age, did not associate with crime. But now the president and the State House have given the impression, and if you check online, you'll be seeing a lot of searches by Nigerians on Google and other search engines about the crime that Herbert Macaulay committed. Was it really necessary for this government to have brought up a so-called pardon for a man like Herbert Macaulay? This is the other side. My name is Rimamnde Shawulu. The controversy started when the controversial special advisor on media and strategy to the president issued a press statement that was published on the website of the presidency, statehouse.gov.ng, and the title was President Bola Tinubu pardons Herbert Macaulay, Farouk Lawan, grants clemency to 82 inmates. It is curious that if the presidency actually wanted to honor this man and had thought well about it, the man's name should not have appeared in the list of people who were convicted of crimes that people are still talking about today. That Herbert Macaulay was put in the same category with several other people is something that by itself is worrying. But however, the question that one should ask is, why did the military, 1979, Herbert Macaulay, put his name into the register of heroes if he was regarded as a convict? If you take a look at the laws of the Federation, you will see that there was an act called the Nigerian National Heroes Register, promulgated by the military before they left power in 1979. And this law, which is an act of the National Assembly, provided for a register of heroes, and the chief registrar of the heroes of Nigeria is the secretary to the government of the Federation. Section 3 lists the eligibility of persons that can be on the register, and subsection 4 said he shall be or have been a person of undoubted integrity. Now, if you go down the schedule of the act, it says persons already declared as national heroes. We have Mr. Alvan Ikoko, Alhaji Tafawa Balewa, Mr. Herbert Macaulay, General Murtala Ramat Mohammed. So the man is already honored. And as far as the facts are concerned, according to this act, you cannot be on this list if you don't have integrity. People of integrity are not people that have been convicted by any court of law. Chief Herbert Macaulay, unfortunately, was convicted. According to the facts of the matter, Yinka Badmus Macaulay, who was born on 14th November 1864 and died on May 7th, 1946, was a surveyor who got into trouble and was tried and convicted and jailed for 2 years in 1913. That is 1 year before Nigeria came into existence. This also raises another question. Can Nigeria pardon someone in a different jurisdiction? Well, I don't know about that. I'm not a lawyer. But I wonder whether a Nigerian court or a Nigerian government can give pardon to someone who was convicted in the US or convicted before Nigeria came into being. But as well, the fact of the matter still remains that it is obvious that the military will have considered a lot of factors before giving this man this honor of placing his name into this register. And it is obvious that he was convicted before Nigeria came into existence. And it is arguable whether that conviction would have been of any importance to the independent Nigeria. What I'm saying is that, was it even a conviction? As some lawyers have said, what was even the point in the pardon? Nigeria came into being in 1914, 1 year after the conviction. It was a different country. His name was put on the register of people of integrity, meaning that the Nigerian state from the beginning did not recognize the conviction that was put on him by the colonial authorities. What was the point in saying that you are pardoning a man who has been recognized as a man of integrity and has received one of the highest honors that any Nigerian, living or dead, can be given? So much so that his picture has been on our currency, that is the 1 naira note and now the 1 naira coin. He was recognized as a nationalist. The fact that he was recognized as a nationalist and his name put into the register of heroes of Nigeria means that the government from the beginning did not recognize the conviction as being a conviction that needed to be removed, which is why I think all the governments in the past did not bother about doing that. One fact that we have today is that the pardon, as announced by Bayo Onanuga, is a very big disservice to the man Herbert Macaulay, or in other words, Olayinka Badmus Macaulay, for very simple reasons. The first one is that if you go online today and search, you will see that many searches are going on about the conviction, the nature of the crime that Herbert Macaulay committed. I don't think that this is necessary for young people to do. The second thing, that it does disservice to the psyche of young people, because it does mean that you are telling them, given the high number of people who were also pardoned, that you can commit any crime. A long time down the line, the government will come that will simply say, you have been pardoned. And that doesn't look good for Nigeria. It's not a good thing for the people of this country, for the young people of this country. It's like what the presidency has done now is simply stripping Herbert Macaulay naked in the marketplace, that people will begin to search and are already searching about a crime that he presumably committed several years down the line, had been forgiven by successive governments. And that is why his name entered the record of heroes of Nigeria. And now people, young people, are searching, trying to know the crime that Herbert Macaulay committed. Of course, the danger of it is that they may come to the conclusion that whatever crime you commit does not matter. Tomorrow, somebody will wipe it off your slate. And this is not good for the country. It's not good for our system, because in the long run, stripping the king naked demystifies the king and diminishes the powers of the king. This, unfortunately, is what the government of President Bola has done. It has stripped one of our nationalists naked, making him dance naked on the streets of Nigeria. And in this time, on global networks everywhere around the world, people are going to read, people will be reminded that one of the persons that is on our currency was a convict. My name is Ulu. This is The Other Side.